Hello, once again, this is Antonio, and I'm coming at you with another exciting video. Now, what I like to point out directly is sometimes taking a drink for some people is like riding the lightning. Let me explain. They become different people. That's why it's called beer, wine, and spirits. Why the hell do they call it spirits? Because sometimes people become another person. Sometimes people become another person. In some societies, they prohibit ladies to take a drink. I know it sounds sexist. Hey, I didn't make the law. It's because they say when ladies take drinks, they become a different person. Some of them become promiscuous. It just yada yada yada, right? This guy got too comfortable with his wife. She says she allowed him to take her car, go back and forth to home, drive it to work, come back home. But guess what? This fool, he took a ride on the Lightning, but the fool didn't have no license. So he goes to the club. He comes back, had somebody else drives the wife car. See, it's the wife car. He don't have a license. He don't have a government issued license. He shouldn't have been driving in the first place. Come back to him drunk. Wife set it off. Right? Some DV started, and this is his first offense ever with the law. So getting in trouble is a young person sport. You don't get in trouble when you're 40 and above. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Getting in trouble is a young person sport, man. They give you 20, they give you 30 years in jail. Nobody don't want to do that, but at least you're 50. But if you're 50 and they give you 30 years, you're gone. So now the Range Rover and the truck is the wife's. He don't supposed to be driving in the first place, but he's upset that the wife moving the car. You don't supposed to be driving. And this is what happened. He goes to jail and loses a $75,000 a year job. I call that the stupid tax. Enough of me rambling. Let's dive into the content. Make sure you look in the scroll bar. I built the website so now you can directly go and view all of our videos directly on our web. I mean, they're going to point you back to YouTube, but now you don't have to go looking for our videos. We're going to put it on the website, and we're going to update the website daily, weekly, or whatever. Whenever we drop videos, we update it. But let's dive into the content.
Next to the complainant as she's testifying. Is that all right?
Any objection by the defense?
Well, we wouldn't have an objection, Your Honor. We'd ask that she be able to testify without any sort of assistance or support, as witnesses are generally asked to do.
And what would be the reason for the victim advocate to be next to the witness?
Just for support through her testimony. That's the only reason.
Okay. At this time, I'm not going to grant the motion, but I will entertain the motion at a later time if it looks like there's a need.
All right, thank you, Judge.
Yeah.
Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. May I begin, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Good morning. Please state your name once again for the record.
Good morning, my name is Janelle Ferguson.
All right. Ms. Ferguson, I'm going to be asking you some questions today. So if you don't understand something or if you want me to repeat it, please let me know. All right?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Ferguson, around the date of May 18th of this year, 2024, where were you living?
20800 Retirement.
Is that in the city of Detroit in the county of Wayne?
Detroit, Michigan.
All right, thank you. Were you living there?
I'm sorry, ma'am, you don't have to lean in that far into it. Just keep your voice up. It should pick it up. Continue, Madam Prosecutor.
Were you living there with anyone on that day?
Yes.
And who was that?
Reginald Charles Holden,
Okay. And what was your relationship with him on that day?
my boyfriend.
Okay. How long have you been living with him at that location?
For years.
Okay. Do you see Reginald Holden in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
Okay. For identification purposes for the court, can you indicate where he is and what he's wearing today?
He's on the right side of me, with the green shirt off.
All right, thank you. Your Honor, please let this record reflect that this witness has identified the defendant, Reginald Holden.
The record will so reflect.
Thank you. All right, and can you tell me what happened on that day?
May the 18th?
Yes.
Yes. I was at home. Getting my hair done. For my goddaughter, her name is Sunitra Beck. That's it, and then I have a neighbor that was next door that was over there with me. Was getting my hair braided, he came in.
Okay, let me just stop you for a second. So you're at home and you're getting your hair done by your goddaughter, and then your neighbor is over also, is that correct?
That's correct.
What room are you in at this time?
My front room.
Okay, very good. And you said Mr. Holden then comes home?
Mr. Holden comes home,
Okay, do you know where he had been?
coming home from work.
Okay, so what happened when Mr. Holden came home from work that day?
He came home drunk.
He came home drunk?
Drunk,
How do you know he was drunk?
because he came in the house, and you could see it in his face, and he was looking from side to side. Because when he came to my house, he parked in front of my house on the sidewalk.
Okay, so do you know what vehicle he was driving?
The black Range Rover, he wasn't even driving, his friend was driving, his name was Eric.
Okay, so there was a black Range Rover in front of your house,
My door,
in front of your door, correct? Okay, so is that the appropriate place to park a vehicle
no man,
in your, okay. So, whose Range Rover is that?
it's my Range, it's in my Range Rover,
Okay, is it in your name?
it's in my name.
Okay, and does, Mr. Holden have permission to drive that vehicle?
Yes, he had permission to drive to work and home,
Okay, and is that it?
and that was it.
Okay, so he comes home and you find that your Range Rover is parked in front of your door. Is this your front door of your house?
Yes,
Okay, what do you do?
he was gone, I came, I was sitting in the chair, he came through the door, and I was like, what's going on? He said, I wanted you to meet somebody, I wanted you to meet somebody, I wanted you to meet my mother, grandmother, or something like that. And when I had looked out, the guy named Eric that drove my car, had truck, super house. So evidently he must have been somewhere in the neighborhood instead when he got off of work. And gave me the keys, and he had his grandmother, the guy named Eric had his grandmother, to try to follow him to my house. So, because he wasn't capable of driving, Reginald Charles Holden wasn't capable of driving.
Okay, so let me just ask you, when Reginald Holden left for work that day, were you home?
Yes,
Okay, so do you know what vehicle he drove to work?
Range
Okay,
he's still on the same day, right?
yes, so he drove the Range Rover to work,
Correct.
and then he comes home, and you're saying he wasn't driving, is that
He
right?
wasn't driving,
How do you know he wasn't driving?
because the young man came to my door named Eric and said, here, I dropped Reggie off at the house. I trailed him here, I had to drive him to the house. And my mom, his grandmother, was outside in another vehicle, had trailed it there. She never got out the car, so I never really get to see her.
Okay,
But the guy got out the car and got into his mom's car.
okay. So it was your understanding that Eric had driven that Range Rover to your house with with Mr. Holden.
Holding in the front seat on the passenger side.
Okay, very good. So what happens next?
And then when he came in, he was trying to kiss me, because I already knew he was wasted. And I was like, okay, gave me a kiss, and trying to, sit on my lap. I was like, come on, go sit on my lap, and you said, like, oh.
No object as to relevance.
And at the end of that, just truthfully.
Ma'am, whenever there's an objection, you have to speak, you have to stop talking. Okay, no, you're fine. Your response to the objection.
Your Honor, what she testified to is what happened on that day. It is very relevant. She's not testifying to what somebody else said. It's relevant as to what happened on that day.
Objections overruled.
All right, if you could continue with what happened.
He kept getting in front of my face, and I kept telling them to stop them to sit down. So they like, my goddaughter, he was drunk and he went to lay down. And then,
Okay.
when he went to lay down,
Okay, ma'am. Take a second and relax. I'm gonna need you to speak a little slower, and you may need to lean into the mic a little bit to make sure the court reporter can take down every word that you say, okay? Okay.
All right. So he went to go lay down. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And in what room?
In the bedroom,
Okay, is that upstairs or downstairs?
only have one floor.
Okay, so it's just on the main floor. Okay, what happened after he went to go lay down?
He went to go lay down. So when he went to go lay down, I went to remove the car from in front of my house on the sidewalk.
Where did you move the car to?
Behind, in front of my house, behind, my 150 truck. I have a burgundy truck. It's a 150.
Okay, are both, and so is that burgundy, 150 truck, is that yours also?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that in your name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you parked the Range Rover behind the F-150, right?
In front of the house,
Okay, and why did you do that?
because I had to take it off the sidewalk, so I wouldn't get ticked, and I didn't want I didn't want my neighbors to see what was going on. Because he do this often.
Okay, all right, what happened after you moved, you moved the Range Rover behind your F-150?
My goddaughter and my neighbor next door was in the house. When I moved it and put it in front of my house, I came back in, they had disappeared. And I was trying to wonder where everybody had went. They had went and ran into my next door neighbor's closet, not knowing that he had pulled out my gun in his hand. I didn't put that down on there. I didn't put that down on my report. But at the end of the day, he ended up calling the police on this stuff.
Okay, well, let me just stop you right there. Now, you're mentioning a gun.
Yes, yeah, I had.
Did you see someone with a gun?
I didn't see him with the gun.
Okay,
Only thing I knew when I came back in the house, they ran next door in my girlfriend's closet, and she said, Reggie pulled out the gun.
No object as to your saying.
and I'll ask another question, is your thing.
Okay.
Objection sustained, will be stricken from the record.
Thank you, Judge. All right, so the two people they're gone. What happens next in your
came
house?
back over, and she finished my hair,
Okay,
and then he ended up calling the police on this stuff.
who called the police?
Reginald.
Okay, and how do you know he called the police on himself?
I seen him call.
Did you hear what he said?
He was sitting on the porch.
Okay, did you hear what he said to the police?
Not well,
Okay, what makes you believe he called the police?
because they came,
Okay,
and they said he was the one that called.
okay, okay, so what happened next?
When they called, I was talking to him, I was standing on the sidewalk.
Could you hear the conversation?
A little bit, he must have asked me what was the problem. I don't really remember. Only thing I knew, the cop said, let him sleep it off. And you can go ahead and take your friend to work. So, and that's what I did. I never went back in the house, I just kept going.
Okay, so So what did you do? You didn't go back in the house, what did you do?
I took my girlfriend to the work, but I kept the Range Rover keys because he was racing.
Okay,
So he
What-
wouldn't be able to drive because he wanted the keys. That's what we was arguing. He wanted me to give him back the key.
when were you arguing with, Mr. Holden about the key?
The same day he called the police on himself.
Okay, was it before or after the police came?
Before.
Okay, all right, so you take your friend to work,
And I kept the key.
okay? What vehicle did you drive to take your friend to work?
The 150
Okay, so the 150 was parked,
in front of the Range Rover.
okay, and so did you have to move the Range Rover to get to the, okay, all right, very good. So you take the F-150 to your friend's place of employment to drop her off, is that right?
All your verbal response.
Yes,
Okay, now what else did you say about keys?
and I kept the keys.
What keys did you keep?
The Range Rover. I only have one set to the Range Rover. When I
Okay,
purchased it,
for the Range Rover, there's one set of keys.
one set of keys.
What about for the F-150?
I have two sets.
Okay, so when you left to take your friend to work, obviously you used one key to use the F-150, correct?
Yes,
Okay, but you took the keys from the Range Rover and had them with you, is that what you're saying?
correct.
Okay, what about the other set of keys for the F-150?
I left the extra set in my drawer.
Okay, and is that where you normally keep those keys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so did you take your friend to work?
I took my friend to work
Okay, what happened after that?
and I kept going. I went to my sister's house to change clothes because I was going to an event. My nephew that came from out of town. He had his wife a birthday party, so I was going in.
Okay,
So that's why she was doing my hair.
okay, very good. And so, did you go to that event?
I went to that event.
Did you ever come back home before you went to the event?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you went to the event, what happened after that?
I went to the event. I was there for a couple of hours. Before I knew it, I had a text, a video. He had sent me a video that he was trying to burn up my kitchen. It was called for something. He had the door open. He had a cooler on my porch. He kept saying, "You better give me my key, B. You better give me my key. I'm gonna burn this place up."
Okay, and who was it that sent that video to you?
Reginald Charles told me.
Okay, all right, and after getting that video, through text message, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay, so after getting that, what did you do?
I was getting home.
Okay, and why'd you come home?
I still came home because I still was ignoring him.
Okay,
And I came home and I slept in another room.
okay, so when you arrived home, where was Mr. Holden?
Where was Reggie?
Yes,
In the other room.
okay, was he
I
asleep,
was
did
in
you
the
know?
kitchen. He was, yeah, I guess he was asleep. I came in. The door was closed. His door, the bedroom door was closed. I went to the other bedroom.
Okay, so you don't know if he was asleep or awake?
Correct.
Okay, you went to the other bedroom and what did you do?
I lay down and went to sleep.
Okay, what's the next thing that you remember?
And opening up that door, hollering at me, telling me to give him the key to that truck.
Okay, the bedroom door for the bedroom that he was in?
Sent me to another bedroom that I was in.
Can I have your question again? Sure.
Was it the bedroom door that he was in?
No, the bedroom door that I was in.
Okay, so you had your door closed.
Yeah.
Okay, so he opens the door and what does he say?
You better give me my keys to the Range Rover.
Okay, and what
And I
happened after
said,
that?
I'm not giving you the keys to the Range Rover.
Can't talk at the same time. I think you said what happened after that.
Correct.
Response.
He has said, give me the keys to the Range Rover.
What did you say?
I said, no, I'm not gonna give you the keys to the Range Rover.
What happened after that?
He said, okay, B. And then he had it up. He had walked out, but then when I really looked up to see him leave out, he had took my second keys to the 150. So he had took that to her.
Okay. So he asked for the keys for the Range Rover, but did you still have the keys for the Range Rover?
Yes,
Okay. But you're saying that he got in the F-150 and took that to work?
mm-hmm,
I'm sorry.
yes,
Did you have both of those keys with you, or Did you not?
I had the Range Rover key, and
Okay,
I had my first set of keys to my 150.
okay. But you did testify that there was another set of keys for the 150, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, and I think you said you kept them in a drawer?
Yes,
Did you go check the drawer to see if they were gone?
yes,
And were those keys gone?
yes.
Okay. And the vehicle was gone, is that right?
Mhm. Yes,
Okay, so what happened after that?
and I believe like on his lunch break or something like that, he came back and brought me the 150. And we switched the trucks, and I gave him the key to the Range Rover.
Okay. And about what time was that, do you remember?
I'm not too sure, because he came with two guys. They came from Church's Chicken. He was working at Church's Chicken. I
Okay,
don't know. It was like maybe around the noonish time or something like that.
okay, so he comes home in the F-150
And
and he gives you the key back to the F-150?
no, we kept that key.
He kept the key, but you gave him the key for the Range Rover?
I sure did. I said, can I get the key to the one, can I get the other key to the 150? I'm gonna give it to you, I'm gonna give it to you. He brought two guys from KFC. I
Okay,
mean, I'm from Church's Chicken that he was working at. And they got into the Range Rover. Two guys.
the two guys that you didn't know got
That I
into,
didn't know that Reginald Holden brought.
okay, they got into your Range Rover?
Correct.
Okay,
That was in front of my house.
okay, and you said you asked, Reginald for the key back for the F-150,
I'm
did you?
sorry. I mean, it's broken up into two areas. Can you repeat that?
Yes, so did you get that key back from Reginald for the F-150? Okay, what happened after that?
And he came home, he in the rabbit truck, he ended up coming home after, I guess after work. And then we must have had some confrontation or something like that. We were still arguing about the same about the keys and he coming home drinking. And that was that evening, and I'm going to sleep. I
Okay.
still slept in a whole different room.
Can I stop you for just a moment? I want to make sure that I have this all straight. Okay, so is what you're saying that when he came home from lunch, he brought two individuals and those two individuals were in your Range Rover, and that you asked for the key back for the F-150, Reginald did not give you the key back, but instead drove that 150 back to work. Is that right?
Correct.
And then,
So who drove the Range Rover? Oh, I can't remember. Oh, okay. All right, I'm sorry. I never been in court before, so.
Excuse me. Even though you've never been in court before,
I apologize.
only speak when a question
Yes,
is
sir.
asked. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
you're good.
Yes, sir.
so do you know who drove the Range Rover?
I said, when he came home from lunch, or whatever his hours are, he drove the Range Rover from the front of my house. He just had the two young guys. One got in the back seat, one got on the passenger side.
Okay,
He drove it from the front of my house. Reginald Holden drove it from the front of my house.
okay. So when he left with the Range Rover, the F-150 was still there?
It was still there.
But he had the key.
Correct.
Okay, and what happens after that?
And he stayed gone.
Okay,
And then when he came back, he wasted, I didn't let him in. So he got mad.
okay. So when you say he was wasted,
Drunk.
okay. Do you remember what time he came back?
I'm not even for sure. Only thing I remember was when he left, I heard something hit my front door. He had threw a trash can in my front door. He had threw my grill off the porch. He threw a beer can at my window. And I didn't notice that. I heard the noise until my neighbor had said, look at Reggie outside. I couldn't believe he really picked that trash can, pulled that trash can to your house.
Okay, so he comes home and you don't let him in.
Correct.
So what does he do after that, if you know?
He got mad. I guess he was upset.
Okay, so when he came home, did he come home in a vehicle?
Came home in a Range Rover.
Okay, so he comes home in a Range Rover, so now both vehicles are there. Oh, yes,
Yes.
okay, and you don't let him in, so
I
what,
don't let him in.
what happens
I
after
got
that?
the window. He was cussing, calling me every name in the book, and the Range Rover was this way, and my truck was going this way. He was parked across the street at the neighbors, and he was hollering, "You ain't gonna let me down," whatever he was saying. I'm sorry, whatever he was saying, it was a lot of cussing words.
Okay, so you're saying that both vehicles were parked on the street, but pointing different ways, is that
Correct.
accurate?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So what happens after that?
He was cussing me out, but I didn't ever open the door. I was looking out the line,
Okay, so,
and then I seen him throw the beer can.
okay, what happens after that?
And then he went and grabbed my trash can, the one that sits outside, and pulled that all the way to the front of my house and threw it at my front door. Because I had to move it before my neighbors didn't see it. I
Okay,
didn't want to feel embarrassed, because police been coming for the last couple of times at my house.
okay, all right, so what happens after that?
And after that, I ended up laying down and went to sleep, nerves bad. And when I woke up, that's when my burgundy truck was coming. And he still had the Range Rover.
Okay,
Because he had the second keys to my burgundy truck.
okay, so are you saying that when you got up after that, you went back to sleep and you got up, and are you saying both of your vehicles are gone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so had he given you back the keys for the Range Rover?
No,
Okay, well, he still had the one set of keys for the Range Rover, and now the Range Rover is gone, is that correct?
correct.
Okay, and for the F-150, he did not give you the keys, that second set of keys back, and now that vehicle is gone as well, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, what did you do after that?
I made a police report.
Okay, and were you ever notified about where your vehicle was from anyone?
No, until like 2 days later, Reginald Holt in text and said, you wanna find your vehicle. If you go to a food store, you wanna find your vehicle next to a CTS Cadillac.
Okay, did he give you the name of the food store?
No,
Okay, so were you able to go to any location to look for your vehicle?
yes, I went to my food store because I stayed off by Joy Road at the time, and I went to Statuary, but it wasn't there because I thought it was a burgundy truck.
Okay.
I had walked up there,
Okay,
and
and was this a phone call or a text?
it was text.
Okay, and are you, what led you to believe that that text was from Reginald Holden?
From his phone number.
Okay, and is that the phone number that you always contact him at?
Yes,
Okay, all right, so you go to one location, the vehicle is not there, what happens after that?
so then I ended up getting a text, and I was texting, his friend called off the Rutherford, somebody called and said, Reggie left the truck across the street in Rutherford
Okay,
and Puritan.
okay, did you go to that location?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you find one of your vehicles there?
Yes, ma'am, in the driveway,
Which vehicle was that?
the 150 Burgundy.
Okay, and did you have the other, set of keys with you for that one?
Yes, he ended up leaving the extra set in the door.
So the extra set of keys was in the door, but you had the other set?
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what did you do at that time?
I had his auntie pick me up and took me to go get the vehicle.
Okay, and did you get that vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what happened after that?
We got my vehicle and I brought it home.
Okay, and let me just ask you one other question. You said you received information that the vehicle was at that location. Who did you receive that information from?
There was a person that must have stayed across the street from where my vehicle was at.
Okay, did you know that person?
Not really, I just know of them.
Okay.
Mention the whole.
Okay, you know of that person from Reginald. Okay, all right, so now you have one vehicle back. What happens next?
And then, I had blocked him. I had blocked him off my phone, I had blocked him off my Facebook,
And why'd you do that?
because he kept trying to call.
Okay,
And I blocked him because he took my vehicle.
taking you where?
He took my vehicle.
Okay, all right. So what about that Range Rover? Did you ever get that vehicle
I
back?
never got it back.
Were you ever notified of where it was?
No. Every time I talk, you trying to call, I'm gonna drop your vehicle, I'm gonna drop your Range Rover off. He kept texting, I'm gonna drop it off with the key, but he never returned it. Everything he did, he never returned it. He stayed on Facebook
Okay, so he told you he was going to return it to?
2 times
Okay, was that over a phone call?
through a text. And if he was calling, I didn't answer. And he didn't answer the voicemail. Took it to the text, everything he texted, said, I took.
Do you have that text message on your phone right now, from him, which states that he is going to return your Range Rover to you?
I had Texas. Yes. I do.
Okay, could you find that on your phone right now?
Sorry, I'm just trying to find it. I got some new text.
Madam Clerk,
Yes, sir.
while the witness is looking through her text message, do we, how are we coming on the other case? Have people checked
We
in?
have
for
a dismissal, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Which case?
Shivers. Shivers.
Okay,
Yes. You ready for me to call it? Yes.
No, I was just asking a question, so you said sure.
I was logged in on Zoom. Okay.
Reason,
Ma'am? Your phone ringing?
Yeah, someone with a cell phone, then escorted out.
Madam Prosecutor, how are we proceeding with this text message thing?
I will ask the witness, were you able to find it?
this is the excuse me, this is a recent one, but I've been trying to find all my other ones. I got all my messages to the detective, so I have, because I never was opening them up. But he was telling me that he was going to call me back on the truck. This one is on July the 30th. If I can put it to the thing.
Okay. Is this a text message?
Yes, and it was a voicemail.
It's a voicemail, not a text message.
Correct, it was a voicemail.
Okay. Your Honor, I would ask that the complainant be allowed to play the voicemail and then I will authenticate it.
I would object, Your Honor. This isn't a voicemail I've ever received or heard. We have no idea what the contents of that are, and I think it would be inappropriate to present that in the open court as if it was evidence without an opportunity to review it.
Ms. Train?
All right, then can defense counsel and I approach the witness so that we can both listen to it?
Oh, I mean, you need to do that outside of, you need to do that outside of the, I mean, it will be heard, in the court, it'll be heard on YouTube. That's, that's not appropriate. I mean, you can go in the hallway, you can go in another room, but you're not gonna just hear it on the, I'll be able to. It's not.
Okay. All right, can we take a moment and go in the hallway?
Sure.
Your Honor, defense counsel and I have had a chance to review the voicemail that the complainant testified about. At this time, I would ask a question, the complainant about it, and then play the voicemail.
Continue.
All right. We just stepped outside, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you played a voicemail for myself and defense counsel, is that correct?
Correct.
When was that voicemail sent?
July 30th.
Okay, so that's much more recent than the incident that happened, correct?
Yeah, that was late.
Okay, so what I'm gonna ask you to do right now, well, first of all, who was the voicemail sent from?
Reginald Charles Holt.
Okay, and how do you know that it was sent from Reginald Wolf?
Because I know his voice and I know that phone because that's in my name too.
Okay, all right, could you play that, could you hold it up to the microphone and play that message that you received?
Any objection?
I would ask that the phone number be read of who sent the voicemail.
Could you read into the record the phone number?
Phone number is 313-459-1841. It's been a while. That's in my name too.
Okay, whose phone number is that?
Reginald Holt.
How do you know that
And
his
it's
phone?
1841.
How do you know that?
Because it's in my name and I paid for that phone. And I paid his bills. I used to pay his bills.
Is that the phone number that you regularly have communicated with Mr. Holden on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, could you please play that, and please hold it up to the microphone?
Drop that truck off that way sometime in the next couple of days. My car's credit is 7. You already know what they said, so anyway, get this message, let me know that he's got it.
Okay, so what did that mean to you?
It meant that I thought it meant that I wanted him to bring the truck back. And when he didn't bring it back, he brought it back 2 days later. The muffler or something on the back of it was on the ground.
Okay, all right, so did you see him return the vehicle?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you just received this voicemail and then you got the vehicle 2 days after that, is that
Correct.
correct? Now, is that voice Reginald's voice?
Yes.
Okay, and was that vehicle drivable?
No, when he returned it.
Okay, did you get the key back?
No, he still got the key.
Okay. All right, thank you, I have no further questions.
Your witness.
Yes, so you stated, ma'am, Mr. Holden paid for the truck, correct?
Did he pay for the truck?
Correct.
No, he put,
Did you put money down on the?
yes, yes.
Okay, and did you put money down on the Range Rover as well?
Rephrase your question again.
Did he put money towards the Range Rover, the purchase of the Range Rover?
Yes, he did.
Okay, and he put money towards the purchase of the F-150, right?
No,
No, okay, so you paid for the F-150 in full?
no, he paying payments on it.
Okay,
Put some money down on that 150 too, so it wasn't just him.
okay, but he also contributed.
Yeah,
Okay, and was his name on the bank note for either of those cars?
no, it's my name.
Okay,
And I had to pay for the insurance before it left the line.
okay, so your name was on the insurance?
Name was on everything. Because he don't have no license, he only have ID.
But was his name on the, on any of the
On any
financial?
of them.
Ma'am, you have to let the attorneys finish the question, then answer it, because the court reporter is taking down what you guys are saying, so she can't type if you're both talking at the same time. Okay, so let him get the question out fully. Don't answer yet. Restate the question, counsel.
So did he have his name on any of the financial documents?
No,
And he had permission to drive both of these vehicles, right?
correct.
And you stated that there were multiple instances where he had taken the car or the keys over a few days, correct?
Correct.
But you didn't call the police during any of those times, correct?
Yes, I did.
Did you walk into the police station to make a statement?
Yes, I did.
Did you ever call the police prior to walking into the station to make a statement?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And finally, every time he made.
Ma'am, there's no question right now. There's no question.
Oh.
Okay.
And I've got no further questions.
Let me redirect.
At this time, I would just move to admit the recording of the voicemail that the complainant played.
Any objection?
No objection.
And I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Ma'am, you may step down. Call your next witness.
I don't have any further witnesses, Your Honor.
Any witnesses on behalf of the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Argument.
Your Honor, the complainant just testified that she is the owner of two vehicles, a Range Rover and a Ford F-150. Both vehicles are in her name. She did state that the defendant, Reginald Holden, who was living with her, did have permission to drive those vehicles to work and back. She states that on May 18th, he had the keys for both vehicles. After returning home, he returned home with two other individuals that he worked with. He then took the Range Rover with the two gentlemen in that vehicle and went presumably back to work. At least he left the area. He also kept the key to the Ford F-150. When the complainant woke up, both vehicles were gone. And he did not bring those vehicles back. She did receive a message from someone who lives across the street, from a house in Redford. The complainant went to that house in Redford and found one of her vehicles in the driveway there, and the key was in the vehicle, so she was able to obtain that vehicle back. The complainant then played a message in court today. She identified that message as being from Reginald Holden. That message said, I have your vehicle for you. She states he never did give the vehicle back, but she did get the vehicle back, but it was in poor condition. So, Your Honor, I would ask that the court find over on both counts. He did have permission to drive the vehicles to work and back. That was her testimony. He did not have permission to take those vehicles and do whatever he wanted with them and to keep them in his possession because they were her vehicles. So I'd ask for a reminder.
Okay. Just to make sure I'm clear the theory of what you're saying, the testimony. The defendant helped purchase both vehicles. The vehicles are in the complaining witness's name. The complaining witness has given him permission to drive the vehicles on a limited basis. And because the vehicle was brought back in poor condition, or was driven where the muffler fell, what is the crime that you're saying is alleged? Because I just want to make sure I'm clear on the theory. What is the actual crime that was committed?
Unlawful driving away of a motor vehicle without permission. She stated that she did.
Which vehicle? I thought he took the Range Rover to go to Church's Chicken.
Yes, and she never got that. She didn't get that vehicle back until she was contacted by someone who lived on a certain street in Redford. She went to that area and found her vehicle in someone else's driveway.
Right.
With the key in the vehicle.
Okay, so the theory, just make sure I'm clear again, is that if he deviates from the house to Church's Chicken, then he's still in the car. Is that what we're saying? So if as long as he leaves the dwelling and goes to Church's Chicken, he's good, and then goes right back to the dwelling. But if he goes to the store, or if he goes to get some food, then the vehicle is being unlawfully driven. Is that what we're saying?
I'm not saying that exactly, but what's being alleged is she wanted to get that vehicle back. The vehicle was found on a street in someone's driveway with the key in it.
Right.
That's not just regular going to a store or picking up food. So I think that this does rise to the level of taking a vehicle without permission. He wasn't supposed to do that and just leave the vehicle in someone else's driveway.
But I thought he drove. And again, I'm sorry, and I know there's two different things, but I thought he lawfully drove the vehicle. But you're saying by not by leaving it in the driveway, that's the unlawful taking of the vehicle?
Leaving it in, yes, Judge, taking it, and then leaving it in a driveway in another city.
Okay. Where's the Church's Chicken? Which city is that in?
It's in Detroit, Joe.
I'm not talking to you, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know exactly where it is, but it's not on the residential street.
So did she? So and again, last question. So the F-150 at what point was that unlawful in that driving away?
She didn't get that back for so this incident happened in May. She didn't get that back until the end of June.
She didn't get the F-150 back until June. And when did she get the Range Rover back?
I think that was a few days.
Okay. All right, continue.
But I don't have anything further.
Your Honor, we would object to bind over for all three counts. As first and foremost, we haven't heard any evidence whatsoever of domestic violence. And in terms of the other two counts, as stated, Your Honor, these are two vehicles that my client contributed toward financially. He had permission to drive them, and we haven't heard any testimony that he hadn't driven these to the places where he had permission to drive them. We don't have any testimony that this address wasn't a place that he worked. And we don't have any information to suggest that, this was goes as far as an unlawful taking away. If he had not had permission to drive these vehicles, I could maybe make that admission, Your Honor, but he did have permission to drive these vehicles and he had contributed to them financially. And in addition to that, at least one of the vehicles did have a second key. So while he was in possession of a key at some point, she did have ability to take control of and possession of the vehicle. He did take the key, but that does not arise to that unlawful taking of a vehicle. And so, Your Honor, I think that there's just not enough here to suggest that he unlawfully took away the vehicle. He had permission to drive both of the vehicles. We even heard the voicemail, and in the voicemail, you can tell there's a sense of familiarity. There's a report that I'm going to get the vehicle back to you. And so I think the fact that the vehicles were returned also suggests that there's not an unlawful taking away without permission. The sense that there's communications that, if the vehicle is coming back to you, where the vehicle is, things of this nature. It sounds like, Your Honor, that the witness is not happy with how things went with the vehicles, but that doesn't necessarily mean that my client did not have permission to take them and to drive them.
Court haven't heard the arguments of counsel. Yeah, but there seems to be a disagreement or some I'm really a little bit confused on this case of how we're getting to the cars being to these being stolen vehicles actually in a domestic violence case. We have a defendant who has contributed to the vehicles. I guess he has limited authority. I mean, I guess he's in a relationship where the person that he's in a relationship with is giving him limited access and authority to drive vehicles. And the theory of the prosecution is that he can drive the car, but in this situation, he's driving them. He's abusing his privileges of driving the vehicles. So where it also gets a little complicated. There's a sharing of two vehicles, money's being exchanged with the person who has no license to drive a vehicle whatsoever. I'm not really sure how we get to I know it would be hard to put him on the insurance because he's not a lawful driver, and so he's driving vehicles he's not supposed to drive, and then I guess he's violating his rules in his relationship where he's outside of his his line that he can drive to work and back. I don't like when I have a feeling sometimes that the court is used when there's disagreements in the household, and that the justice system is then used to take out if we're on good terms and you can drive to your boy's house and you can go to the store, but if we're having disagreements, then you can go to work only, and you can only drive the Range Rover even though you paid money on the F-150, and then it's a lot. But because of all of this, a question of fact for a trier of fact has been established. This is probably the most minimal case of probable cause that can exist, but it does exist at this time. Therefore, the court will bind these matters over to the Wayne County Circuit Court for further proceedings. The arraignment on the information will be when?
August 28th at 9 a.m.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, may I raise the issue of bond in this particular matter?
Yes.
I do believe my client is on personal bond with GPS Tether, but due to the GPS Tether, there are issues with the GPS Tether, and he's not been able to be released. He's not sure why have these issues with the GPS Tether. They have not reported to him that it's an address issue or something of that nature. And based off of what the court's heard today, I think that it's clear that there hasn't been any kind of assaultive behavior or any sort of behavior that suggests that he's a danger to the public. And I also don't think that there's any sort of communication or testimony today that suggests that he would have any sort of a capious history or he would not be coming to court. And so for that reason, Your Honor, I'd ask that the GPS Tether requirement be removed and that he be allowed just a personal bond so that he can return back to society. He did lose his job as a result of this, and he'd like to try to return to work.
Madam Prosecutor.
Your Honor, I ask that the court deny the request and keep the tether provision. It's my understanding he has 2 other cases, so I don't think it's.
Is the tether for this case, or is he on tether like a global tether?
I believe the tether is from this case, Your Honor.
And I'm not seeing on the screen. The defendant is not in custody, correct?
He is in custody, Your Honor.
He is in custody. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Talk to you.
Okay.
Never been-
Why is it now, prosecutor? Why is the defendant in custody?
I believe just because they cannot get him fitted with a GPS tether for some reason, whether there's a delay or some other.
I don't know what the issue is with the tether.
Okay, and when was the personal bond established?
This would have been established over 2 weeks ago, I believe.
2.5 weeks ago, when I first went to court, gave me a tether. I never seen it. Lost my job. I was working 7 days a week. making $75,000
Okay,
a year.
sorry. I'm just addressing the tether right now. Okay. And Madam Prosecutor, your argument for the tether is that he has 2 other cases?
Yes, Judge, this isn't, it's not alleged that this is just a one-time incident.
Okay, and the other types of cases are what? Are they violent offenses?
I'm sorry, Judge, you said, are they?
What are the other cases that he has pending?
It's another unlawful driving away case, Your Honor, with the same victim, same facts, and then a mistake.
Court haven't heard the arguments of counsel. The tether provision will be removed. Sir, you will still have a no contact. Do not come to any contact. Do not contact via phone, text message, email. Do not have any third parties contact the complaining witnesses on any of these cases. Do you understand?
Totally. You ain't
Okay.
gonna have no problem with me.
All right, tether is removed.
Judge, does the no driving provision still remain?
The only provision that I'm adjusting is the tether.
Okay.
All other conditions stay the same. And of course, the defendant should not be driving a vehicle because he doesn't have a license. So he does not have the drive privilege in the state of Michigan to operate a motor vehicle on the roads. All right, with that being said, get the paperwork. All right. Is Judge Sherman in the courtroom?
Step to the back.
Judge Sherman is going to finish the last 3 cases.
All right, thank you for tuning into this video. Like I said again, getting in trouble is a young man's sport. And sometimes as married people or in relationships, we get too comfortable with our opposite sex. Or let me scratch that, with our companion. Because, you know, some people are in the same sex relationship. We get too comfortable and we don't understand people's boundaries. When you don't understand boundaries, number one, you can't control a person. Look at Judge Mathis. He been with his wife married for 39 years and she wake up and say, I don't want to be married to you no more. She never probably had to work up until a certain point. He a judge. And he was a TV judge. Right? So now she says she don't want it no more. It's nothing he can do about it. You can't force a person to stay. But in this hindsight, he's wearing a tether. First time getting in trouble. Well, first time getting in trouble in the DV perspective, but why was his license suspended? Probably suspended in the get-go for a DUI. He does not have a government issued license in the state of Michigan. This is where this happened. And you want to come home and be a fool. See, sometimes people get too comfortable with their foolishness. He rode the lightning and he's getting the pop in his hand. Don't do that no more. But nonetheless, this is Antonio with Team Tiggio. Please like, comment, subscribe, as we're going to keep coming to you with more and more videos in the future. And once again, we will see you in the next video. Make sure you copy that website link so you can start going to our website and start look and binge watching all of our videos.